All right, so now for a serious note. Stealthy posted, he wanted me to watch this. He's not here, but it's gonna be a video because I got you. I always make Degenerocity videos because I always like his videos. Very satirical approach to everything. It doesn't take anything too seriously, and I respect that. Anyways, my job experience with Degenerocity.
Today, I'll be talking about one of humanity's biggest fears.
Break it down.
A job! This is a horrifying path that almost everybody will have to eventually face in their life, whether we like it or not. And most of the time, we don't. But everyone has to get their bread somehow. So we just gotta suck it up and pray that we win the lottery or our parlay hits one day. Because let's be for real, nobody want a job. Like, unless you got real aspirations for a certain type of work, I think most of us, if given a magical opportunity to get paid however much you get paid now and not work that job again, we would take it. Because most of us see jobs as a way to get by in life and try to make ends meet. There's no room for you to pursue passions in this economy. You better second guess that art degree and major in business so you can be an executive marketing promoter for $1 billion company. But I digress. I'm just...
Hey, but honestly, for real though, it's always been like that. Like the economy is always changing, and back in the day, it was just right to always work, and nobody wanted to work. Nobody wants to have a job. You know, it's just that's just. But the thing is, you have to, and if you don't, what happens? You know what I'm saying? It's just discipline. That's what it is. You gotta like lock in, like for real. You can't just not work. You're gonna go homeless, and you can't be feeding off of everybody. There's opportunities for other people though. You know, everybody's situation is different, but you can't just sit there and do nothing. You can't just hope something happens by, you know, some people do get lucky, but at the end of the day, you gotta grind. You gotta hustle, because without the hustle, you're gonna go broke. It's an endless cycle.
That is most people's passions to work at a 9 to 5 at a warehouse lifting boxes. I don't mean any disrespect.
I mean, you can still have passions.
Am I wrong? Plus, it's fun being unemployed. As long as you got a roof over your head and don't need to worry about bills, most likely because you still live with your parents, then why would you want a job? That sounds like it's taking away your time from being grandmaster on Rivals and watching reels. Nah, that's too much. But eventually, you want to get your own stuff. You know, young boy tickets ain't free. Or life really hits you in the face and now you actually have bills. So eventually, we all have to get a job. However, you know what's harder than actually deciding to get a job? Finding one that hires you. I swear, you could send 100 applications to 100 different places and all of them would still ghost you. You think...
By experience, it sucks. Psychologically, it takes a toll. But what you gotta do is just keep applying and go directly. Sometimes you just gotta make it happen. For example, like, this has nothing to do with actual jobs, but I did watch a recent video about Britain's Got Talent, where this dude, it wasn't staged at all. He was in the crowd and he took the opportunity. He yelled at Simon Cowell. He was like, "Yo, Simon, let me sing." He got up to the stage, sung, and everybody loved him. And if it wasn't for him taking that opportunity and grabbing it, then he wouldn't have been up on stage on Britain's Got Talent. Same thing goes for people who want a job. If you really want to work somewhere, you better show them that you want to work there. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you act like you don't want to work, no one's gonna hire you, and that's just how it is. And this goes back to what I was saying before, why people want to hire immigrants is because they're willing to work harder than people who want more pay. Of course they're gonna take the immigrant who wants less pay to work like he doesn't have anything to lose and goes above and beyond, rather than someone who requests $1 million and says, "Oh, I just want to sit here and twiddle my thumbs all day." That's not how life works, bro. You could twiddle your thumbs when you become CEO. You know what I'm saying? You don't twiddle your thumbs when you're on the way up. The thing is, you got to work your way up to the top. And then eventually when you have residual income and everything is flowing in, then you could twiddle your thumbs. It's about earning that place in life.
I think with how many job openings you see, the businesses are desperate to find people. But nah, it feels like they're posting it as bait, just to mess with people or steal your info.
It's all true, bro.
If this is your first job, you're gonna have a harder time, because even the quote-unquote entry-level jobs are asking for a qualification of having prior experience.
This is true.
Isn't that what this job is for?
And that's like an ongoing joke throughout the years. It's like we go to school, get a degree, and it's like we try to get a job, but they say it requires 7 years of experience. And it's like, bro, I'm only 21. 7 years ago, I was in high school. What do you mean? I got my degree. If they won't take you, they'd rather take someone with experience. It's weird. Trust me, I know how it feels, but that's just how the system is, and it's caught. I mean, sometimes you gotta get lucky. There's like those dudes that are CEOs or whatever, people who are hiring. They're looking for you, and they're actually searching for people who are willing to work. And I got lucky, like a lot of times when that happened, and they saw my work ethic, and they hired me right on the spot because I said all the right things, and on top of that, my actions flowed with my words. So it's really about showing them and proving to them that you're a reliable asset for them to hire. How can we get experience, but they want a loss to earn XP? It's all about the talk, man. You hold yourself high, be confident, and just go with what you got. It's like I said, it's based off a lot of luck. It really is. But sometimes if you know somebody, that's your way to get in the foot in the door. But another thing too is if you know somebody, they recommend you, and you do a terrible job, you're never going to get recommended again, probably. So you got to be careful with that. If you're giving a silver platter, you better take advantage of that silver platter and prove to them that you earned it and you're worthy of it. You got denied for being a cart pusher at Walmart because you didn't have enough XP. See, that's how it is, man. Sometimes you gotta prove to them that you're worthy. Be like, look, I know you don't want to hire me, but I promise you I'll do 1,000%. I'll even work more. And they'll be like, okay, we'll hire you. Or sometimes they'll just say no. If they say no, try somewhere else and just keep trying and trying and trying and trying. And then, so how it works is like Michael Jordan he missed over 9,000 shots in his career. I'm about to say this. There's many opportunities where he was chosen to take the winning shot and he missed. He failed over and over and over and over again. And that is why he succeeds. Just keep that in mind and keep that at heart. Don't ever let yourself down, and don't ever lower your esteem because someone doesn't want to hire you. It just means it's not the right time. Just be patient and keep being persistent.
Someone's supposed to get experience and not be homeless, while almost every decent paying job requires that. And trying to apply for a job on LinkedIn or Indeed is like sending your application into a void.
Yeah, it doesn't really work half the time.
Be reading them. You could have the most stacked profile on LinkedIn. Yep. You got a bachelor's, master's, discovered the cure for cancer. Then you send in an application for your dream job to your dream company. Then they write back to you saying, we've read your application. Unfortunately, the CEO's daughter has took your position that you applied for, so get the f on. Back when I was still applying for jobs, I literally gave up on sending applications on those sites because I'd never get a response back. Like, damn, was my application that bad? Even when your application does get noticed and you get set up for an interview, you still gotta go through some more bullshit ass questions. Why did you choose our business? You're hiring. Like, what's up? What is your main motivation to get your work done?
Money.
Money? What else am I here for? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Making money.
Hopefully not here. That's just me being honest with my answers. What do you want me to do? Work here for the rest of my life? This is a Wendy's.
Exactly.
So you gotta lie with any question they ask. You have to make yourself look as good as possible. So you gotta make it till you make it. Even if they asked you a stupid question like, would you still work this job even if there was no pay? You say absolutely. I always wanted to be a slave. Congratulations. You have successfully become employed.
Exactly.
The end of your life starts Tuesday. After starting a job, I feel after the first week, you can find out whether you like it or quit it the next month. And it won't be the job itself to motivate this decision. It's your boss and coworkers. They can make or break this whole thing. If you happen to get a chill boss and coworkers you can vibe with, that's amazing. That's how my last real job was.
But the only thing about that is this pause, Frank. This is crazy. But the only thing about that is sometimes people get too comfortable, and then they end up getting fired. I've seen that happen before. Like, your coworkers and your bosses are not your homies. I wouldn't say not your homies, but not always. Because I met some really good people at work. But those people that you create those relationships with, those are the type of people that you treasure that friendship. But most bosses that are like your managers and stuff, they are not your friends. Like, even though they act buddy and all cool and all, they're still like a seniority type of deal with that. You know, you could kind of mingle with your coworkers because you guys are on the same level. But if it's like your manager, store manager, it just doesn't work. And legally, you're not allowed to date because of favoritism. So that's another thing too. Like, there would be a reason for that. But besides the dating standpoint, like, you shouldn't be friends with your higher ups just because sometimes they do it only to get to you, to see what else you could give them, because you know they're kind of like, oh, he's buddy getting comfortable with me, he's gonna tell me some secrets, you know, and then you get the rat, and yeah, that's another thing. But like, just be careful, you know, there's rats out there who want to step up above you, and they will do anything to do that. So just know when to bring it back a bit, dial it down, and not be too all in and sharing your emotions and being like, you know, like they're your brother or sister or something, you know, or your cousin, because they're not. But there's rare occasions where coworkers do become your brother, you know what I'm saying?
Used to be a waiter for weddings and other events. That job low-key had me stressing because I wasn't good at the start. I was awkward taking orders, I would mess up orders, and one time I even dropped a whole tray of food I was carrying at the wedding. Best believe I didn't get tips that day. And what would get me kind of jealous is that some of my co-workers would walk out and carry 2 trays full of food on one shoulder. Like, damn, bro, are you Samoan? Those trays are mad heavy and so out of balance. But you know what kept me going? It was the fun time I had with my coworkers and boss. They were cool as hell. We had a carpool to get to the events. It was always a vibe and a good time. They made my experience. Imagine working a 16-hour shift and walking out of it happy. One day I clocked in for a double shift for a wedding and a Sweet 16 at 9:30 a.m. and clocking out at 1:30 a.m. Granted, I was dead after that shift and had to take off my shoes more than once, but I got $60 worth of tips and went to Wawa after work, so I felt like Gucci. And I believe I only felt like this because the environment I was around was nice.
That's true.
Sometimes. I've had to serve some aggressive people at some points.
Yeah, it's my birthday today. What can I get out here for free? You a bitch.
If I had trash co-workers or a trash boss, I would have not stayed at that job for long.
Yeah,
I have zero
true.
patience for bullshit. Literally. Like example, the first job I've ever had in my senior year of high school, I was a janitor at a warehouse. I had no co-workers, so I had nobody to talk to, and my boss was not a bad person, but a bad boss. I'd be working shifts that were 2 to 3 hours every few days, cleaning the break rooms, hallways, and bathrooms. So my pay wasn't even that good, but since I was still in school, I was just thinking, I'm making money and I got more time to study and goon. That sounds like a win-win. But when payday arrived, I would only be paid for half the hours I worked, sometimes less. I was already barely working as is, combined with a salary of $13 an hour, cleaning up pee-pee and poo-poo. Man, I'm not taking it. Plus, he only paid me through Cash App. You've ever had a job that only paid you through Cash App? Man,
never.
I had to go. I only worked there for a few weeks. He did pay me the rest of the money after, so he cool, but man, warehouse jobs are not it. My patience dwindled faster when I got accepted at BJ's, and I worked there for 1 day. I asked to go to the bathroom and left during orientation. I discovered they weren't what they advertised. How you gonna call yourselves BJ's without expecting people to have certain expectations? That's false advertising.
Hold on there, brother. Hold on, my brother. Wait, what you talk? One rule you got about work is no dating, because basically you have to be in the presence of the ex. I broke that rule, but that's another story for another day. I've been there too, bro. Never date at work. Never date your coworkers. That's a mistake. But yo, this is real. Like everything that he's saying, like there is, I wouldn't say there was one job where I just walked out in, but there was a job that I had for a short time, and that was True Religion. Only because I was working 3 jobs at the time. I was working at Adidas and GameStop, but it was during Christmas, so I needed some extra pocket change. So I applied for True Religion because they were hiring, and I took like a really part-time job. So I would be working kind of like full-time with no benefits. But the thing about Adidas, it was cool because people were cool over there. GameStop was cool because I love games, and the managers were cool, and it was a really small staff. It was like 4 of us, so that was dope. True Religion, I wasn't really vibing with nobody, so that's kind of the reason why I left there instead of one of the other 2 places. Not because it was just too much, but it was like I'm making myself miserable, and it's like it's not worth the extra $100 to $200 per paycheck at that time. But the thing is, like he said, if it was like a cool, you know, cool managers, cool people, genuine folks, funny people, and we were just vibing all the time, then I probably wouldn't have even left any of them, or left True Religion, just because, oh, I'm having fun. This is worth it at the end of the day. But most people don't want to put on extra work if, you know, they already have something to sustain them, and it's making them even more miserable than they've already been. So it's kind of like a life-work balance sort of deal. But at the end of the day, more of the story, if you have cool coworkers, cool managers, the job is fun to work, even if you get less pay. It's just how it is. Working at GameStop seems like a cool job. It was a very cool job, one of my favorite jobs. That's why I was sad that I had to leave, but yeah, I got a better job at the time, and it was at Microsoft. And Microsoft was the best job I've ever had, bro. I had a cool manager that hired me, and I got to vibe with people all day and just play games all day, but like advertise while playing. And that was like the best job you could ever have. And that's what kind of motivated me to become a content creator, quote unquote, in a way. Because I was learning more about it working there, because we had to sell stuff and we had to work with some streamers and content creators. So I was like, hey, I can do this too. And then they gave us Adobe for free, and I had to make this video, like a couple videos for some people. And I noticed that I had fun editing on Premiere Pro. And I was like, wait, I should try YouTube and streaming. And then I did. And here we are now. I'm not like super successful, but I'm just happy that I started, because I wouldn't even have my foot in the door if I didn't. It's a blessing in disguise, man. Like sometimes it's about the experiences that you have with people rather than the work itself.
I asked to go to the bathroom and left during orientation. I discovered they weren't what they advertised. How you gonna call yourselves BJs without expecting people to have certain expectations? That's false advertising. So I left.
That's a dope origin story.
Really
Yo, thank you.
I just didn't want to work in the freezer. That's when I started my waiting job, then YouTube, and now here I am. Unemployed since. I'm just saying I can understand the struggles of looking for and having a job.
Yep.
Especially the ones you only take to make ends meet. And the unemployed life can be really fun when you have stuff to fall back on.
That's what I'm saying.
If not, it will only be short-term satisfaction. Eventually, you have to get a career, deal with any of the shortcomings of it, and do that for the rest of your life.
Yep.
The American dream. So when looking for a job, make sure to get one that you like if you have the privilege to do so. That's all I really wanted to say. And in conclusion, enjoy unemployment while you still can. Different strokes for different folks.
You know what I'm saying?
So on, Scooby-Dooby-Dooby.
Bro, Degenerocity is a fool. But no, he's real. Everything about that, real. I agree. 1000%. And it doesn't make it easy for Gen Z. You spelled that wrong. Could have been easily a villain origin story. Yeah, it could have. It could have. But I tore my ACL. That sounds crazy, right? I tore my ACL again while I was working at Microsoft. But I was playing basketball at the gym, so that's my fault. And I was able to get surgery through Microsoft. And during that time, that's when that's when it really started, is when I tore my ACL and my meniscus. Because I had nothing else to do. I couldn't walk, couldn't go nowhere. So I was like, I'm just going to sit here and stream. And I did. That's another part of it too. But yeah, bro, it's job experiences. It's weird in this day and age, but all I gotta say is just don't give up. It kind of hasn't really changed too much, except for everything being digitized and everything is more abundant. But if you're persistent, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, you know? So keep on taking those shots.